Hi, in this video, we're going to do part 3 of the conjoint analysis example from chapter 12. So we've already, in part 2, started in Tableau, and we've looked at how to measure average part worths, how to measure average attribute importance, and measure the willingness to pay for the features. So what we're going to do now in this last part is we're going to actually go to the marketplace and say, what are the current products in the market? What are their features? Can we then predict the market share for those products for our respondents, assuming our respondents represent the average distribution of the population we're going for? We'll look at two different ways to calculate market shares, one using a first choice rule and one using a Logit share of preference rule. And then we'll introduce a new product, a hypothetical product, our own Chestnut Ridge smartwatch with certain features. And we'll see how that new product might take away market share from other products in the market and see whether or not it's a good idea to introduce this product. So let's go ahead and start back in Tableau again. We're going to go back to our workbook we finished with when we were looking at part 2 of the series, when we finished with willingness to pay for a feature. So let's go ahead and open a new sheet here. So in this new sheet, what we're going to do is we want to look at the market shares. We need to first know what the different products are in the market. So we're going to calculate the utilities of the products, and then we'll calculate the market shares. So to do that, we're going to the three products in the market. There'll be an Apple product, a Samsung product, and a Fitbit product. And then we're going to add the Chestnut Ridge product to the market. So we'll start again. I have all of the calculated fields from the textbook, and I'm going to copy those in. The first one we're going to have to measure is the utility for the Apple smartwatch. In this case, the features of that smartwatch in the market. The way we would measure the value is to take the intercept, which is the base price, the base case. We're going to add the utility of Apple. The Apple product has a $0 shipping, 15% restocking fee, 7-day return, number of return days, and is priced at $200. So those are the different features. We'll add all those pieces together to get the utility for the Apple. The second one we need to do is we're going to get the utility of the Samsung. And the Samsung product in this case is again intercept plus Samsung. Samsung has a $20 shipping, 0% restocking, 14-day return rate, and is $300. And our third product in the market is the Fitbit product. And the Fitbit product has the features that it is, besides being Fitbit, it is $10 shipping, 10% restocking, 14-day return, and $250. So now we have the utilities of each of the options. We want to create the choice rules that we're going to use to measure the market shares. Now there's two choice rules we're going to look at here. One is called first choice rule, where we're going to, for each respondent, evaluate what is the product that has the maximum utility for that person, and that product will get that person's market share. The Logit share of preference is going to say people might have some different evaluations of utilities, and we'll give the share of their preference across the utilities relative to the Logit equation, so Logit transformation equation. So let's see how that's going to work. So first, we're going to calculate the first choice for each of the options for each of the respondents. So we'll create a calculated field. Our first one is going to be the first choice for Apple. Now, the way we calculate that is we're going to look at if Apple's the maximum compared to the others, then give that person share, 100% of their share, otherwise give none. The second one we're going to do is we're going to do the one for Samsung. And here again, we're going to say, if Samsung's maximum, give the share, otherwise nothing. And the third one will be the Fitbit. And in this case, same thing. If Fitbit's maximum, we'll give 100% of that person's share, otherwise zero. So we've created the 3 first choice based rules. Let's do now, we're going to create the 3 Logit share of preference rules. So the Logit share for Apple. Now the Logit equation, when we have multiple options, is going to be the e to the power of the Apple utility divided by the sum of the exponential utilities for the 3 options. So e to the Apple, e to the Samsung, e to the Fitbit. The share that Samsung will get, so Logit share for Samsung, is going to be Samsung divided by the total. And the Logit share for Fitbit is going to be the e to the Fitbit utility divided by the sum of the others. So now we have the Logit share and we have the first choice for the different options. So what we can do now is, again, the easiest thing to do is we'll drag measure values to columns. We'll drag measure names to rows. We'll again edit our filter. We'll start with none of them. So let's go ahead and pick the 3 first choice and the 3 Logit shares. Okay. Now what we want is we want the average of those. So we'll go ahead and click on the first, hold shift, highlight all of them. We're going to change them from sum to average. Let's go ahead and make this bigger. So we'll change it to entire view. We'll add the mark labels. Right. Now these are percentages. So if we want, we can click format. We'll change them to percentages. Okay. So now a few things we see. One is we see there are differences across the 2 groups. It looks like if we use first choice, Fitbit is the dominant. If we use the Logit share, it looks like, so Fitbit is out of order here. Let's move Fitbit up above Apple, so it's in the same spot. Fitbit is still the dominant, but not quite as much share, because it seems to be that even though Fitbit is dominant, it's dominant by a little bit, which means it looks like Apple and Samsung get a little bit of the share of preference if we use that as our choice rule. So let's go ahead and label this table. So this is going to be first choice, or we'll just call it market share for the current products. Okay, so this includes both first choice and Logit share. Now we have a new product coming to the market, right? Or at least we're thinking about bringing a new product to the market. So what we're going to do is we're going to propose a new product. So we'll go ahead and open a new sheet. And our new product that we're going to propose is the Chestnut Ridge smartwatch. So we're going to create a calculated field. And we're going to first have to create the utility for the Chestnut Ridge smartwatch. Now we've decided that, so let's go ahead and bring this over, that it'll be the Chestnut Ridge brand. It will have $10 shipping, 10% restocking fee, 14-day return policy, $250. Okay, so we'll say okay to that. So what we'll need to do now is we'll need to reconstruct the first choice and the Logit share preference rules by adding Chestnut Ridge into the mix as well. So we're going to create we'll go ahead and create the Chestnut Ridge one first. So this will be first choice of the new proposed product, Chestnut Ridge smartwatch. Then we'll add the first choice for the Apple under the proposed condition that Chestnut Ridge is in the market. Then we'll add Samsung. And then we'll add the Fitbit. So those will be our proposed shares for those. We're going to also create the same for the Logit share. So let's create a calculated field. Our first one we'll do for the Chestnut Ridge again. So this one will be, again, the e to the power of the Chestnut Ridge utility divided by the sum of the others. The second one we'll do for Apple. The third one we'll do for Samsung. And the fourth one we'll do for Fitbit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these put up there. Again, probably the easiest thing to do. Let's put measure values at the top. Let's put measure names. We'll edit the filter. We'll select none. Let's go down and pick, we want Apple, Chestnut Ridge, Fitbit, Samsung, first choice proposed, and then the Logit share for the four proposed, the products in the proposed scenario. So again, let's make this the entire view. Let's click on all of these and choose average. Let's go ahead and add the marks. If you want, we can again change these to percentages by formatting. Okay, almost done. Okay, we'll go ahead and add the title here. So these are the market share, the proposed products. And we can look and see what we find. So we see that our Chestnut Ridge product using first choice rule, that's a pretty good 30% share. So we're able to take some share from some others. We also see that we get about a little under 25% share. Again, Fitbit got moved down. Let's move that up so that it's in the same order so we can read these the same. So we have Fitbit, Chestnut Ridge, Apple. So it looks like we're pretty similar to Apple. Fitbit's a little bit ahead. We're the same when we use first choice. And Samsung seems to be the lowest. How does this compare? Well, we're taking 30% share. Where do we get it from? If we click back to sheet 5, we can see that it looks like 25% of the share was coming from Fitbit. We didn't take anything from Apple, right? And we took 5% share from Samsung. So what it seems to be is that our smartwatch product seems to compete heavily with Fitbit, a little bit with Samsung, not so much with Apple when it comes to where it might take some share. So the last thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and save our workbooks. We'll say save as. In this case, we're going to put it as a package workbook so that the data is included. Let's call this Conjoint Analysis. Save it in chapter 12. There we go. So now what we've seen through this example, this 3-part series, is we first designed the experiment and estimated the part worths in part 1. In the second part of the series, we looked at the average part worths and the attribute importances and the willingness to pays. And in the third part of the series, we actually generated the market shares, both the first choice market share, which is useful when you have products that are very high involvement, low frequency purchase products, for instance, a smartwatch. You can also use Logit share of preference, usually more commonly used in, say, fast moving consumer packaged goods, maybe in some industries where people still purchase across different options, but have some loyalty where they might purchase one of the options a little bit more than the others. Right, so we saw how the market share looked in the current market. Then we introduced our Chestnut Ridge product, and we saw how the Chestnut Ridge product, based on the features we gave it, had the ability to potentially take share away from other players in the market. So that's the 3-part conjoint analysis example from chapter 12.